since we are already streaming to the audience in Lithuania. Yes, so sorry, just waiting.
Are you seeing me? Okay,
yeah,
that's fine.
I think yes. I think we are already on Facebook, so I will say a few words in Lithuanian as well. Sveiki mūsų Facebooko draugai ir šiandien mūsų susitikimas vyks dviem kalbom, kaip visada angliškai, lietuviškai. Svečiuose pas mus yra François Gazo. I would like to introduce François, you as our main lecturer or taster today to talk about sparkling wine, which is very much on demand at the moment in Lithuania. And you are in Limoux region, where it is?
It is the center of the world, believe me. Now, Limoux is in the south of France. We are 80 kilometers from the Mediterranean Sea. We are just on the border of the Pyrenees, close to Spain, so very, very south, and 300 meters from the Atlantic Ocean. So we are really southern French people, and it's a beautiful and still wild area, not so many tourists, so it's quite preserved.
Okay, so I just will show one picture you sent us. So we see mountains somewhere behind the vineyards. Is it Pyrenees, yes?
Yeah, what you can see here is a typical picture of our terroir. You have the we have the vineyard on the top of the hill, very low yield because the soil is limestone and clay, and it was a river a long time ago. So we have galets moulés, like stones everywhere. And we are just facing the beautiful Pyrenees. Our vineyard is 400 meter height, and this is very good for the quality of the freshness of our wine. So we have a big gap between night and day temperature, and this is perfect to get beautiful acidity.
Okay, so we jumped immediately to terroir. It's important, of course, but yeah, just now let's position the place. So it's a bit different from what people usually think about sparkling wine production areas, because, well, in France, it's like Champagne, which is quite far away to the north. And also Loire Valley and Burgundy, and even Alsace, all they are kind of in the north of the France. And here we have southern region. Do you grow the same grape varieties as everywhere in the France?
Yes and no. We have the classic sparkling grapes like Chardonnay, Pinot that you can find in Champagne, and also the Chenin Blanc that you find usually in the Loire Valley. They do the Saumur and the Cremant de Limoux, or the Vouvray with the Chenin. We use those three grapes that are internationally known to do our Cremant De Limoux, the appellation Cremant. But we have something that is very exotic and very interesting. It's the grape Mosaic that is indigenous, that is only cultivated in our area, south of France, Occitanie, and the taste is very, very special. And it's a grape that we are cultivating for more than 5 centuries. Chardonnay, Chenin, and Pinot arrived in Limoux only on the middle of the 90s. Mosaic is here forever.
Okay, so I will say a few words in Lithuanian now. Tai mes čia labai greitai šokome kalbėti apie svarbiausius dalykus, kurie yra vyne, tai yra vieta, kur vynogės auga ir vynogės pačias. Ir nežiūrint to, kad Limoux regionas yra Prancūzijos pietuose, prie pat Ispanijos sienos, nuotraukoje matėte Pirėnų kalnus. Vynogės, kurios čia auga, yra kažkuria prasme labiau šiaurietiškos. Tai yra Chardonnay, kurią augina ir Šampanėje, ir Burgundijoje, ir Chenin Blanc, kuri auginama Luaro slėnyje. Tačiau labiausiai regionas garsėja Mauzac vynuogių veislė, Mauzac rašosi Mauzac. Tai jūs visi išgirsite šitą pavadinimą, nes tikriausiai įdomiausias dalykas, kuris yra šitam regione, yra kažkas tai, kas yra truputėlį vietiniško ir skiriasi nuo visos kitos Prancūzijos. Ir mes šiandien ragausim vyną, kuriame yra didžioji dalis sudėtyje yra būtent Mauzac vynuogės, tai apie ją ir kalbėsim pakankamai nemažai. So this great variety, is it Mauzac? I mean, I must say that I think I was reading Tom Stevenson book about sparkling wines, and he was writing that Mauzac is so seductively smelling by ripe pears that it's really one of the most nicest aromas in wine world. And yeah, that was also a bit motivation for me to find this sparkling wine which smells pears. But is it true? What kind of aromas is typical for Mauzac?
When you experience Mauzac, a glass of Mauzac, particularly a Blanquet de Limoux, you are starting a walk in an orchard fruit area. You are walking around apple, like green apple, very fresh and beautiful, refreshing apple. And then you have the pear, the white pear, like the Poire William pear. That are very beautiful. Those are the main characteristics of the Mauzac. Mauzac is not a very acid grape, so it has a beautiful roundness, and I like to harvest it very early and to get this crunchy side you can find on it, associated with this beautiful orchard fruit nuts. Sometimes you also have some, it gets more evaluated. You have some beautiful honey notes on it, and it's very delicate.
Yeah, I think that honey is in my glass because I have already Blanquet de Limoux, which usually is about 70% or 90% is Mauzac.
Yes, the Blanquet de Limoux, to get the appellation, you need to have 90% Mauzac minimum, and then the 10% remaining can be an assemblage of Chardonnay and Chenin. So Blanquet de Limoux is always white. We use only white grapes.
Okay. So, and the main issue is that this wine is made classical method. Is that true?
Yeah, Blanquet de Limoux is made with classic method. We call this méthode traditionnelle in France, and in Champagne they call this méthode champenoise. But there is no difference between the three. It's only three different names. It means we do two fermentations. First fermentation is done in a tank. This is what we are doing just at the moment because we started the harvest last Thursday. So we are booming at the moment. That's why I'm dressed like this. So we started the harvest and doing the first fermentation. Second fermentation will take place in a bottle. We add sugar and yeast to the wine in January. We close the bottle very carefully. Then the second fermentation will take place in the bottle, and we will keep the wine aging. Usually it's 2 years minimum till 7-8 years or some cuvée.
Okay, so yeah.
So which vintage do you have? Is it 17?
16.
Lucky you. Yeah, we have just moved to the 17. So the 16 has been bottled in January 17. So 17, it's nearly 4 years aging on lees.
Okay, yeah, that's amazing. So what the aging on lees contributes to the wine?
Many things. In fact, the fermentation is really done in 3 or 4 months when the yeast have eaten all the sugar and they die, so they become lees. And the fact that you keep the wine aging on lees will allow you to develop a beautiful palette of aromas that you didn't have during the first fermentation. And the second point is that it will make a very delicate bubble not aggressive. The sparkle is very, very beautiful and easy to drink, and not aggressive like with some cuve close, for example. You know cuve close?
Yeah, well, cuve close, yeah, we usually say Cremant. Yeah. So yeah, I would like just to say a few words in Lithuanian, not to be misunderstood. Tai mes pradėjome kalbėti apie 3 vynuogių veislės, kurios dažniausiai sutinkamos Limų regiono vynuose, ir mes šiuo atveju labiausiai akcentuojame blanketą iš Limų, ir blanketas pagal taisyklės turi būti daromas iš 90% mozaik vynogės ir tradicinių metodų. Tai yra tuo pačiu, kurio daroma šampanas, kava, frančiakortė ir kiti taurūs pasaulio vynai. Ir šalia tų tipiškų mozakui būdingų aromatų, kuriuos Fransuas mini susisieja su sodais, tai yra obuoliai, švieži obuoliai, prinokė obuoliai, kriaušės. Laikui bėgant atsiranda, bręstant šiek tiek medaus ir gyvynė. Gamybos metu taipogi suformuoja šiek tiek papildomų aromatų, ir kadangi tai yra klasikinis metodas, tai fermentacija vyksta butelyje. Ir po fermentacijos vynas dar 2 metus išbūna butelyje uždarytas, ir su tomis smėlėmis jisai bręsta. Na, 2 metai tai nėra labai mažai, nes dažniausiai minimum reikalauja taisyklės apie 9 mėnesių. Čia 2 metai jau tam tikra auka iš vindorio pusės tam, kad vynas būtų kompleksiškesnis, bet ką Fransuas akcentuoja, svarbiausia, kad būtų subtilus burbuliukai, kad tai nebūtų agresyvus putojimas, o būtų būtent švelnus putojimas. Ir kai jisai su tomis kriaušėmis ir prinokusiais obuoliais susijungia, mes gaunam tokį labai elegantišką, subtilų ir malonų gėrimą, ne, taip sakant, nuo kurio nosyje tada atsiranda gazas, bet tą, kurį maloniai galima gurkšnoti. So the main difference for classical method, as I understand, yes, is making second fermentation in bottle. And here I would like, well, it's maybe not so super politically correct, but to say that blanket, from my opinion, is one of the nice alternatives for the Prosecco, which has really very, very big success at the moment. I think this is now like they produce double more than champagne. And Prosecco is usually more flowery, and we speak about fresh pears, but very often really flowery aromas. And here, if people would like to have on the same price level, I must say, despite this is classical method, still value is very, very good. And despite very long production method, because you are investing like 2-3 years for the keeping wine in your own cellar, you have a bit different profile, a bit softer, a bit more elegant, but kind of easy drinking wine. How do you position your blanket?
I think there are totally 2 different universes and words. Prosecco most of the time is 85 of the Prosecco are done in method Charmat with grapes with big yields, and the fermentation is taking place into the tank, and then they do a transfer into the bottle. So usually it takes 3 or 4 months between the time they harvest and they can sell the wine. So it's an easy going, no aging. So you have a lot of fruit, very easy, and most of the time the sugar added is quite high. So it makes it round and very, very fun. Or method traditionnelle or method classique is it's another story, because we harvest by hand exclusively. Our yields are limited to less than 50 hectoliters per hectare. Then we do the first fermentation very, very slowly. And then we do the second fermentation, not in a tank, but in a bottle. Every bottle does its own fermentation. And it takes not 3 months, but it takes for us at least 18 or 2 years. We keep the wine aging like this. So it's really different. And there is absolutely no difference between the method traditionnelle we use, or the classic method, or with the method champenoise they use in Champagne. The only difference between the Champagne and us is the terroir, what we call the terroir. And as we have Chardonnay and Pinot in common, the main difference is coming from the sun, the rain and the soil, and all what makes that Limoux is different from the Champagne. Really, a Prosecco is a huge area of appellation, and it's not the same. One could be haute couture, and there's one is from prêt-à-porter, and prêt-à-porter is really beautiful now sometimes.
Okay, so when you speak about terroir, so do you have chalky soil, or is it more sandy?
It's limestone and clay, mainly limestone and clay.
And when you choose where to plant Mosaic and where to plant Chardonnay and Chenin Blanc, do you?
So if you ask me the question, what was the choice for my father or the generation before my family? They were trying to get south exposure. We're on the top of hill and with planted like this facing the Pyrenees and the south. Now the change of climate obliges us to think different and to think about how we can face this problem. So we are more moving north and we are planting more on that sense. So our vineyard can have less sun, particularly in June, July, and August, where we had more than 40 degrees this year. It was really hot. And even if we had a beautiful springtime with a lot of water, which was really unusual this year, and we have been very lucky, the beginning of the summer was hot, hot, hot. And at the end, the Chardonnay and the Pinot, that are the first grapes ready, they suffer a little bit about the dryness.
So when did you start harvesting?
Believe me or not, first time in Antèche history, we started on the 12th of August, which is at least 15 days in advance compared to an early year. My father started mid-September and he was finishing in end of October. I will probably this year have finished by the 5th of September. So it's just amazing.
But does it changes style of the wine or grape quality? Or there is no.
If we would keep the same date of harvest, we would change the wine. In order not to change the freshness and the delicatesse and the quality of the wine, we have decided to move the harvest very early to keep the balance between the degree, the potential of sugar, and the acidity. And this is the most important point to manage to do a good sparkling wine, is to find this beautiful balance. Of course, we are lucky here because we are Mediterranean, we have a lot of sun, and this is combined with the Pyrenees freshness. So we manage to have this all those aromas that makes our wine round and delicate, but also we have the acidity and the freshness coming from the age, and this gives the structure to the wine.
I would like to come back once again to the history. You mentioned that Chardonnay and Chenin Blanc arrived to the region just like 30 years ago. But previously, like 5 centuries, you had Mosaic. And when I was traveling to Limoux some 4 or 5 years ago, I was visiting a monastery of Saint Hilaire, which are claiming that they were the first sparkling wine producers in France, at least. Yeah, it's very medieval place, very narrow streets, amazing. So is it true that the history of sparkling wine production is so long in Limoux?
Do you want the history or do you want the legend? I have both. So I tell you both. History, this is the proof, the paper we have and so on. The story started in 1544, so nearly 5 centuries ago, in this beautiful Benedictine bay in Saint Hilaire. And in this bay, there were monks One was in charge of the cellar because they were needing wine to celebrate the mass and the prayer. So the story doesn't say if he was stupid or drunk, but by mistake, he put into a bottle wine that had not finished the fermentation. He closed the bottle very carefully, and some weeks later, when the monks decided to drink the wine, they realized it was a sparkling wine. Of course, the wine went on fermenting into the bottle. This is what we call today the méthode ancestrale in Limoux. And of course, those monks, they have been so clever because they wrote on the register of the abbey this story, there is a spot there are bubble in the Limoux wine. So we have the first written proof that we have this sparkling wine in Limoux 5 centuries ago. So this is, and that was 150 years before Dom Pérignon. Then comes the legend, and the legend says that Dom Pérignon would have been as a pilgrim to Saint-Jacques de Compostelle. You understand Saint-Jacques de Compostelle in Spain?
Yeah, we know it, yeah.
And he would have stopped on his way in the different Benedictine Abbey, and he would have stopped in Saint-Hilaire, would have found a beautiful wine, sparkling wine, and would have been back in Champagne, trying to do this beautiful bubble wine again there, and invented the méthode traditionnelle. To be really honest, I'm not sure about the second version of the story about Dom Pérignon. But whenever we say this story, people from Champagne are getting angry. And we like when people from Champagne are getting angry. So it's a pleasure for us to tell as much as we can.
Yeah, but that's fine. I think that not so many places are able to say stories or legends. So that's fine. And it's easier then to understand how things were developing, not so easy and very slowly, in fact. And if we speak about Cava, which has only 150 years tradition, you have, well, much longer, which is amazing, I must say. So just practical question. So in Lithuania, we have a problem that we don't have so many tourists now. What about touristic routes of French people this summer? Are people coming to your place? Do people travel on holidays locally? What is the situation?
So the situation in Languedoc is really tough because we don't have many strangers, particularly on the beautiful Cité de Carcassonne, which is only 20 minutes from here. And it's mainly visited by foreigners, so it's quite tough. So it's a difficult moment for the restaurant. On the other hand, we have a lot of much more French tourists than in the past. So because French people also stay in France, and we can see that on our wine shop in the Caveau, on the Domaine, and our sales are booming because. When we have foreigners, most of the time they came with plane and they can only put one bottle on their suitcase. And this year, of course, French people, they come with their car and they buy much more. So it's good and bad. You have the two versions. So anyway, it's not an easy moment, and I believe that it's not an easy moment for everyone because. Everything is a little bit upside down, in fact.
Okay, so when I was in your place, I saw that you are using another interesting thing, technological, that kind of pearls inside the bottle for the catching yeast. Mm-hmm. Do you still use this or no?
Are you talking about the little bones we put in the ancestral?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Ancestral is very delicate. It's not the méthode classique, it's méthode ancestral. And in fact, it's only one fermentation that we stop by 2 times. First time by cooling the wine, and we block it at 5 degrees of alcohol in the tank, and we prevent it from going on fermenting. Then we put the wine into the bottle, and we add some new yeast, in those little bowls, and the fermentation continues in the bottle till 6.5 degrees alcohol. Or for our new wine, 10, we have made a trial this year with Ancestral with 10 degrees alcohol. And when we want to stop the fermentation, we have to do the dégorgement, we move the bottle, but we have to be very, very fast to do it. And the best way to be very fast is when the yeast are inside those little bowls, and you move it, and you are sure that you don't forget any yeast in the bottle, because of course the residual sugar is very high, and if you forget any yeast, it will continue working, and you have a bomb in your hand, which is not what we want for customers.
Okay, I will tell this for my listeners in Lithuania, because it's not so clear. I see also this first time in my life as well. Tai tiesiog įdomus dalykas, kad Vintage namai naudoja ne tik tai paprastas smėles, nes savo metodą atsistatam senoviškam putojančiam vynui, jau pačiam pirmykščiam, kuriame tik yra viena fermentacija. Ir viena fermentacija baigėsi butelyje, bet vynas yra saldus, nes nespėja susifermentuoti viskas iki galo. Ir tas saldus vynas yra tuo pavojingas, kad jeigu jame bus nors kiek mėlių, jisai gali fermentaciją tęstis toliau ir butelis gali sprogti. Tai pašalinti mėles iš tokio vyno yra gana sunku, nes įprastas vaizdas jūs dabar matote, vat mėlės tai yra plaukiantis, pakankamai sunkiai nusėdančios tokios dalelės mažytės. Ir kad tas mėles pašalinti labai švariai, reikia labai daug laiko. Bet vyną reikia pakankamai greitai jau paleisti į prekybą, nes metoda Ancestral nelaikomas ilgai su mėlėmis. Ir tam, kad tas mėles greitai pašalinti, Vintage naudoja tokią įdomią technologiją, kad mėlės yra nepalaidojusios, jos yra tokiuose mažutėse kapsulėse, burbuliukuose, perluose, kaip jie vadina. Ir šitie perlai jie ridinėjasi, jie tiesiog butelį paverti ir jie labai greitai pasišalina iš butelio. Tai bet vieną iš savo vynų jie gamina, naudojame būtent tokiam apvalkale supakuotas mėles. Labai įdomus vaizdas ir pakankamai gražus. Ir nėra jokios rizikos, kad vyno butelis gali sprogti, kas, aišku, nepatiktų nei pačiam vyndariui, nei tikriausiai nei vienam iš mūsų. Taip. Tai va, taip, aš esu čia golfo lauke, National Golf Resort Klaipėdoje, todėl labai geras oras. By the way, I'm in golf course, so you could see it's beautiful golf course in Lithuania, and in the middle there is a lake with the green of Lithuanian shape it is made, so it's difficult to play that hole.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yes.
It looks beautiful, and you have a sunny day, yeah?
Yeah, it's really nice summer, and well, we have the same situation. People are quite positive in Lithuania because we have really very low rate of disease, very, very low infection. So, but everybody stays in Lithuania, so seaside is booming, full of people, and when it's nice weather, it's really relaxing and very nice life. Okay, let's say a few words. So you produce 3 types of sparkling wine. Cremant De Limoux, which is traditional method with the dominance of Mosaic. Method Ancestral, what grapes are here?
The method Ancestral must be done with 100% Mosaic. No other grape is allowed. And according to the method I was talking, so it's only one fermentation, stop 2 times. One when the wine is in the tank at 5 degrees, and then second time is when the bottle has been fermented and we reach 6.5 degrees alcohol. So this is totally natural. And Cremant De Limoux is done with Chardonnay, Chenin, and Pinot Noir.
Yeah, so this Cremant De Limoux is the easier to understand for our consumers as well, because we sell very successfully that. It's really very nice classical wine, and people, well, I don't know if easily, but recognize this Chardonnay and nice acidity of Chenin Blanc. So how long do you keep on a lease your Cremant De Limoux?
So Cremant De Limoux Blanc, we keep them from 2 years to 6 or 7 years. Some cuvées, we like to age them a lot, whether to have a natural oxidation, keeping the freshness, or because we have one cuvée that is done with fermentation in oak, and we like to keep it to have a long aging, give us more delicatesse, more silliness. But most of the wine are 2 years aging on this. The minimum legal for the law in France is only 12 months, but we keep them 2 years.
Okay. And what about Pinot Noir? You mentioned that you are harvesting Pinot Noir. Do you have many plantings of Pinot Noir?
Pinot Noir represents altogether maybe 10 to 15% of the vineyard. And as a trend to develop, we use it a lot for the Cremant Rosé, for our cuvée which is a mix of Pinot Noir in red and Pinot Noir in white, and then we add Chardonnay and Chenin. So it's a beautiful grape. It gives us a lot of vinosity, but what we like really is the richness of the Chardonnay, which is really the magic grape to do very complex sparkling wine. Chardonnay is a beautiful and the magic grape. And Chenin, I like it because it brings us acidity. I just have here, it was a piece of Chardonnay. So it was just cut on the early afternoon, and it will be crushed in half an hour. When we have finished the Zoom or the meeting together, I will crush this wine, you know. So it's a beautiful grape. We don't have a very big base. It's really full grape, and the juice is really beautiful. And we are close to 11 potential degrees with a Chardonnay like this. Chenin are finished. They are over. We've done them last Thursday and last Friday. And we try to do some Chenin at the end of the week. And then next week we will be dedicated to Chenin and then Mosaic. Mosaic is the latest grape. And I like it for that because, you know, it's indigenous grape, and the beautiful thing is very late, so we can avoid the big heat that we have in July and August, and we start to pick up the grapes in September when the nights are getting more fresh, and this is very good for the quality of the acidity.
Okay, good, very, very interesting, and I think that many people will discover now a bit different area, which as we could see is growing grape, which are delicate and usually grown in northern part of France. But I must say that your wines are very successful and very nice and attractive. So thank you very much for joining us, and good luck on your harvest and your touristic season as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for the exchange. Thank you for drinking my wines, because it's a pleasure to, when you do the wine and when you make it, you really think about, you know, when you do sparkling wine, usually people, they open the bottle for a happy moment. So you imagine people getting married, people having a party, people celebrating a birthday, people, all those happy moments of life, and you feel very rewarded to do this job. And when you hear that they are sold in faraway countries, it's really motivating also. So thank you all for giving me the face to go on, and even in the bad situation, like this year was tough, but finally we also learn a lot from these situations, and it will remain many positive things.
Yeah. Okay, so good luck, and thank you for your
cheers, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.